So welcome back to my channel, fellow gardeners. Today I thought to myself that I want to do something for beginners, and I have this beautiful succulent which is so low maintenance and it's so easy to propagate, which we'll propagate today. And I thought, let's look at it and get to know how to look after this plant, how to propagate this plant, so you too can have this beautiful plant in your garden or in your house in a container. My name is Alice and I'm the Red Soul Gardener. So fellow gardeners, as I said, this is such an amazing plant and it actually reminds me of a bonsai. They call it Gollum Jade and it is related to the jade plant and a succulent. It's low maintenance, easy to look after, and the thing is that basically you don't have to do anything, it just grows. Now the thing about this plant, why I particularly like it, is the leaves. They have these sort of trumpet-like leaves or like suction cups, and that's what makes it really interesting. And the thing is that if you do have it in full sun, you will get like a red tint around the top of the leaf, which makes it even more attractive. Now, once you talk about propagation, it is a succulent. So let's look at, first of all, the light requirement. The light requirement for this plant is actually full sun, but I actually do partial sun, which means it does get sun, but more or less not so intense, but it still does survive. Now, if you do put it in sort of partial sun, as it likes full sun, is that it may grow a bit slower, but that is not a problem because basically as you look at it, it is so attractive. So even if you do want to have it indoors where you don't get sort of full sun in your sitting room, it will survive. Now, if you're in the northern countries and you do have it as an indoor plant, do put it in a west-facing window or a south-facing window. In that way, you get you get some sun coming into your sitting room, and it will survive. Now, soil requirement, what does it need? Like every succulent, you need to have a well-drained soil. You need to add a bit of grit in it, just almost the same, similar to a cacti. And so the thing is especially with this particular succulent, like all succulents, the water has to drain through. So what you could do is make sure you do have your drainage holes underneath. Just run the water once and let the water drain through. Run it again so that the soil is moist and you're good to go. Now, what is the water requirement? The water requirement, like every succulent, is that let it dry out before the next watering. Again, do your finger test, touch it, and when it is completely dry, that's when you can actually start watering it again. Now, what happens is that if you, the two things about this plant, like any succulent, is one, overwatering. Overwatering will cause root rot. Now, underwatering, what happens is that these lovely leaves will shrivel up. And last night I hadn't watered the plant for a while, and this is what a shriveled leaf looks like. And once you do get this sign, is you know it's time to water, that the plant hasn't had water for a while. So now let's go straight into propagation because it is so easy. Now these are plants that I'd actually propagated and they're looking really great. Now what you do is you actually go into the plant, look for a really nice stem, and also I would look for a stem to actually, as we're pruning it, is so you don't lose your shape. So I will take a stem from here. So what I'm going to do is just simply cut it. Once you've cut your succulent, your Gollum Jade, What I would actually do is actually callus it, just dry out the wound. 48 hours, leave it to just sit like that, and then once it dries, you're good to go. But sometimes I must say that I don't really wait for the callus to form. So what I normally do is I will plant the plant, but then I wouldn't water the soil, give it 1 or 2 days in dry soil, and then after the 3rd day I would water it. So all you do is you get your soil and just stick it in the soil like that. And then you're actually good to go. So what you do is just keep, once you've watered it, just keep the soil moist and put it in indirect sun, as we all know. And once it does start rooting and establishing itself, you can slowly introduce it to a bit more sun once it's rooted. So another method which you can use, like what we do with all succulents, is you actually use the leaves. And so what you do is you pick them one by one, as I've done here, and then you just lay it on top of the soil, just like that. And then what happens is you lightly water it once it's calloused, and what happens is at the end of the plant, so this is the leaf, at the base of the leaf, what happens is, and we've seen it in all the other succulents we've done, mother of 1,000, mother of 1,000,000, once you do lay it like this, you will start getting rooting at the end of the leaf. And then what will happen is that you will start getting your plantlets coming from the end of the leaf. But that is for another day, and at the moment I'm actually quite happy and with stem propagation, because I find it works really fast. Whereas with these sort of little babies, it does take a while. So fellow gardeners, as I mentioned, is that it is so simple to propagate this plant, and it's great for beginners, so do go and look for it. I did find this in the nurseries, in the roadside nurseries in Nairobi, so for the Kenyans, go and get it, and then you can multiply a lot. So fellow gardeners, thank you so much for being part of this channel. Don't forget to like, to share, and introduce us to your friends. And don't forget to press the notification button and also subscribe. And we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Do send your comments. I'm always there to answer. If you do have a problem, do write to me, and I always make sure I answer back. So thank you so much, fellow gardeners, and have a lovely day.